Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line on a Tuesday. Nick Barris here, live and direct to you, and invite you this morning to tell me what you think, okay? We're going to get into one of these topics that's been discussed here for years, not just among us, but the state lawmakers. And again, it is part of this legislative session, the ongoing question of whether or not the state of Tennessee will ever legalize some form of marijuana, be it medical, recreational, or the like. We see a lot of other states around the country doing so. It's a slow process, and it's been proposed here before, but it always dies in committee, doesn't go anywhere. And I've said for a long time that I think Tennessee might be one of the last states that'll ever have it happen. But that doesn't mean there aren't some lawmakers, both Republican and Democrat, that have pursued it, but there are still issues and hurdles. We're going to talk about that this morning. We're going to put the phone number up and let you join in the conversation. I've always said that if medical marijuana is put on the table, that might be the first aspect of it eventually passed. The state probably not ready anytime soon for recreational, but then again, you never know. And really, for one of the first times, I'm not sure if it's the first time, but there is a bill to legalize recreational marijuana in the state of Tennessee. It's been proposed by a state representative who happens to be a Democrat, Bob Freeman. Am I right, Bob? Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Is this the first time recreational marijuana has been put on a bill, or has it been part of some in the past?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, I don't think I've reported on one. I might miss one, someone correct, but it's been medical marijuana as others. But most people think, well, look, we got hit medical first. Recreational is down the road.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, the debate to me is going to be the same, whether it's medical or recreational. I serve on the health committee. I've heard all of the debates for the last 3 years. And, you know, some of them don't really pan out. They don't make sense to me. When you've got almost 70% of Tennesseans wanting legalization, you know, we have these weird people support medical but not recreational. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that a lot of people really care or understand the distinction. They just want access. We have an aging population that grew up in the 60s and 70s that all, you know, tried or used or continue to use cannabis. They understand it's not the demon or the gateway drug that a lot of people try to make it out to be. They're not getting older. They've got arthritis, you know, their spouse, or they have cancer. They want to have an alternate treatment, and cannabis has proven to be that alternate path. And we have continued to fight this in the state against the wishes of most of the constituents. Again, 70% of Tennesseans.
Based on, is that just some polling that you've seen? I know that my belief is that it would pass a referendum. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Where's the 70% come from?
There's a Gallup poll that's out there. I've seen multiple polls. Pretty much every candidate that I know that's run in the past, you know, 3-4 years has polled this, and it's increasingly popular. Speaker Harwell, who held my seat in the State House before me, it was one of the platform issues for her run for governor. She understood how popular it was. When I was knocking on doors, campaigning for my first and second run, the number one question I got from people was, where do you stand on legalization of marijuana and cannabis? And new candidate, new political person, I had no idea how to answer it. I really thought it was a trap. And I just answered it honestly, that I'm for legalization. And people would be, you know, I'm with you. A lot of people get this twisted up and say, why are you advocating for marijuana use or cannabis use? And this is not, the bill that I'm proposing is not advocating for anybody to use it. It's just offering people 21 and up the choice if they want to or not. Just like you have the choice to buy tobacco, use alcohol, and let the state tax it. We could very likely be one of the last in our band of 8 surrounding states to legalize. Virginia has full legalization. You can be in Bristol and go right across the state line and legally purchase. Arkansas has medical. Mississippi, Kentucky's working on it. North Carolina. I mean, all of the states around us are going to be legalizing at some form. And the residents of Tennessee are just going to leave. They're going to go to these other states and purchase. We're not curbing the use. We're just not gaining the tax dollars.
Okay, and I guess people are hearing you say, and I've said this before on the show, that up to 70% support it in the state. Okay, lawmakers answer to their constituents. And I think a lot of them know this. and yet they continue not to pass something, some form of it. What is it you think that blocks some of these? I've spoken to some, and of course we know this is a Republican legislature. There are plenty of Republicans that support this, but there are some that don't as well. And I just try to ask them, so your constituents want this, why are you voting against it?
So the polling shows that while it's extremely popular, it's very low on the priority list. Okay. So for example, if I were to ask you the top 5 things that are important to you that you want the state legislature to work on, that's not likely to be in your top 5. Okay. But if I were to ask you your belief on it, you would say, I'm assuming, you would say I'm for legalization. So because it's not a high priority item, it's not a high priority issue.
And there are some negatives potentially attached to it. I can just see some challengers saying, oh, you voted for medical or recreational marijuana, he wants your kids to be stoners. Yeah, you can just see this, and constituents are stupid a lot of the times, and they're like, oh, okay. I'm wondering, there must be high negatives on that.
I've not seen the high negatives. I know that,
if it's not a priority, if there's not high negatives, then I don't get it. Or some negatives. It may not be a priority, but like a lot of other things that maybe aren't in the top 5, it's there, and the vast majority of people support it, so why not just do it? There has to be some other reason besides just, I agree with you, it's not a priority compared to some other more important things, but gosh, are there some negatives attached? I believe in the minds of some, especially in some of these more rural districts, there are some negatives attached where people will jump on it and take a tact that's not accurate, but people fall for it. You know?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's still the stigma surrounding it. A lot of these people, specifically rural parts of the state, they don't want to be the person, advocating for legalization because of the false comparison between legalization and advocating and exactly what you said. You're telling me you want my kids to have access to marijuana. My legislation is very clear.
Right.
In that any of the sale has to be locked up, out of view, 21 and up. The intent is to make it extremely safe. You can take a minor into a gas station and they can watch someone purchase beer. The intent of my bill is not to have that happen with someone buying legal marijuana.
Yeah.
It could be as much as $500 million worth of revenue,
which is leaving. People are buying it. I know for a fact. I know people personally that make the drive to, unless it's changed with some recent laws, the nearest repository driving distance from Tennessee for a legal recreational marijuana purchase is Illinois. A place called Thrive, right across the border. You can go right across the border there, and there's Thrive, and if you pull into that parking lot, you see license plates from every state in the region going there, and they're driving right back and bringing it home with them, and they're spending money there that could be spent in their home state had the laws been changed there.
That's right. And thanks for that. I didn't know that, but
that's a 3.5 hour drive.
Yeah,
now, I've been through there. If you're wondering, hey, I'm not going to lie too. I've smoked pot in the past. I have. Okay, I don't smoke now, and I'm not interested. And we both are agreeing. We're not stoners. I'm not pushing one way or the other on medical marijuana or legalizing marijuana because I'm someone who's not going to use it.
Right.
I've used it in college, and I don't care for it. It's not for me. But I understand it should be someone's choice.
So, and I agree with everything you just said. This is not so that I can use legally. It's for my friends who have fathers and mothers who are battling cancer right now, and there is an option, and because it's illegal, they won't do it. And even with the stigma of it being illegal for recreational use, some of them, I'm afraid, wouldn't use it even for medicinal use. And so, again, some estimates are it's $1.5 billion worth of illegal use in the state of Tennessee right now. It's already illegal. It's already difficult to get. There is nothing that we are doing that's making this that is not expanding the use. People are already using. What I'm saying is let's make it legal. Let's tax it. And let's begin to regulate this a little bit. Recently in the news, I read where a bunch of folks had purchased some marijuana illegally because that's the only way you can do it right now in Tennessee, and it was laced with whatever. And And I mean, that's happening right now.
Yeah, that's scary.
And it needs to change. You know, I look at the opioid epidemic, and from the second the opioids are grown up until they're purchased, the trucking is taxed, the sales reps, the manufacturer, all of the steps along the way, it's taxed and legal.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that opioids are significantly more damaging to our community than marijuana use.
I can tell you it's way more damaging. And anyone who says otherwise is a fool. We got to take a break on that note. And the point being, too, as we go to a break, is that it's illegal in Tennessee. But, folks, anyone in Tennessee who really wants to get marijuana is getting it. One way or the other. It's coming because it's too easy to get these days. So do you want to just get on board, or you just continue to ignore it? And one reason we're going to talk about maybe that it hasn't is the whole idea that at the federal level, and this is true, it is still classified as a Schedule I drug, which is one that has no redeeming value. It's in there with other more serious drugs like heroin and all of that. And why that hasn't changed, and some lawmakers will say, Nick, I'd support this, but I can't if at the Fed level they're still scheduling it as one. We'll take a break. We'll take some phone calls as well. For our guest, Bob Freeman, I don't know what he thinks his chances are of his bill passing for recreational marijuana, but perhaps he thinks that's a step in the right direction. We'll take a break and be back with more right after this.